What if everything you have deemed as impossible really was possible? What have you known and believed was possible your whole life? You just didn't know how to actualize it. Come and discover a world of infinite possibilities on Outside the Impossible with Venus Castleberg. On this show, we will share pragmatic tools to create the life and living you truly desire. And now, your host, Venus Castleberg.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm super excited today. I have Connor James Hill. Connor is, probably one of the most intelligent. I love how witty he is and how he uses that in a very charming and delightful way. And I am just tickled pink to have you here on the show today. So thank you, Connor.
Wow, thank you, Venus. Thank you.
Why don't we just start with a little bit of maybe your background? Like, where'd you come from? Who are you?
Yeah, okay. Well, it's funny. I used to think nothing of it, I guess, because it's an insignificant. Well, I shouldn't say that to anybody living there, but Wichita, Kansas is where I was born and have spent a lot of time, and so it's the dead center, for those of you that don't know, of the middle of the United States. Now, there are other cities in the dead center of the United States that will fight about whether or not who is actually the dead center of the United States, but all things considered, it's the middle of the United States. So yeah, that's where I was, and then I spent a lot of time going back and forth between Chicago and Kansas when my parents sort of separated, and then I went to university. I played a lot of sports. I played tons of sports my whole life, and then at university I went to and did civil and environmental engineering, and then after that I right around when I graduated was when I first had my bars run, and then I moved to Boston and did some more civil engineering there. And then after 3 years, I didn't want to do that the rest of my life, so I canned it, traveled the world, well, not the world, but New Zealand, Southeast Asia, Nepal, and then after that, I came back to the United States and really started diving into Access Consciousness classes, and my life has been all over the place since.
That's awesome. How did you discover Access Consciousness?
It would have been, 2009-ish. My sister, I think, one of my aunts, somebody in my family sort of came across it or took a class, and then my sister took a class, and she ran my bars and asked me a bunch of questions about what I would like as far as a job was concerned. And because I didn't like any of the jobs that were actually available in 2000 when there were no jobs. And so pretty much a dream job was created from that bars session she did with me. And in that same sort of summer, I read Dane Heer's book, Embodiment, the manual you should have been given when you were born. And so that was the start. And actually, after I read that manual, I lost 5 pounds. After I read that book, I lost 5 pounds. Just by not even changing anything in my life. Boom, it was 5 pounds went away.
Wow.
So it was interesting, yes.
Yeah, totally. So, Embodiment, that's so cool that was your first book. I'm like, that is really neat.
Uh-huh.
So did you have, let's say before Access, you had something in your life that you thought would be impossible to change? Did you have anything that you thought was impossible?
Oh my God. Well, there were, there's actually within the last year, there's been something I didn't realize. Come on, I started doing Access Consciousness stuff in 2009, and I haven't even realized I created certain things impossible until last year. And so that specific one being said, was things with sports. Like, there were so many things I thought were impossible because, I couldn't jump high enough, or I couldn't run fast enough, or I was white. And so, there was really a lot with regards to that I, in the last year, have just been like, holy crap, there is still, for lack of a better way to explain it, there's still a lot of energy around this area that I've just limited myself because I think certain things are impossible.
So have you seen changes in that? How are you changing that?
Well, a part of it was, like, I had knee surgery in college, and I had knee problems that started when I was 16. And a lot of times I just kind of lived with it, right? It was just, the knee problems was something I just lived with. And then until last year, when I finally realized there's so many things, literally actually only 3 weeks ago, I realized, holy crap, there are so many things I don't do in my life, or I have cut out of my life because of these knee problems. Like, I don't go hiking. I used to love hiking, but on the down hike, my knees would hurt so bad, I just quit hiking. I loved snowboarding, and I kind of was like, well, I'm not going to just be as enthused about this anymore because I can't do a whole lot of it, but with my knees hurting. Now, for those of you out there that are listening going, yeah, I have that too, I'm like, this is also me speaking from, I talked earlier about quitting my job in Boston, and a part of that was I was having major back issues. And at the time, the only way I was getting around it was to either drink a lot of alcohol. Well, actually, it was normally drink a lot of alcohol and smoke some pot in order to just, like, be able to move and, like, let my lower back relax enough so that, like, I didn't have this sensation of a pinched nerve. After having knee surgery, I was like, I'm not just after knee surgery, I was like, I'm so not doing surgery on my back. Not happening. So my back was something that I was, interestingly enough, was the one thing was one of the places I was really willing to go, I don't care what the fuck it takes. Sorry can I use that word? Is that okay?
They slip every once in a while.
Okay, it slips. What the frick I take. That's going to sound funny. I love it. If you're going to use that word, go for the gold. So, that was, and again, this was something, like, I was really, I don't know, at the time I think I was, like, asking what's really great about me or something, and I was out facilitating a class in Russia, and this is last year, and I realized, holy crap, I was that way with my back, but I have not been that way with my knees. Now, the interesting thing is, everything that was showing up with my back, I discovered that everything that was going on with my back only had anything to do with points of views that I had created. And so now, in the last 3 weeks, actually, it's been in the last 6 months since I discovered that, I've been really diving into what the hell is it going to take to change what's going on with my knees. And now I also discovered that my hips were problematic too. Like, so much of my body that I was just avoiding because I was like, I had just learned to live with it and ignore it, and I just won't do the things that hurt. Like, I haven't played a single game of basketball since high school because my knees hurt so bad anytime I played basketball. And I'm like, God, I cannot believe this is a place that I've been willing to think that. I've obviously thought that it was impossible to change my knee situation, even though I did the exact same thing with my back. So I'm doing it now.
Well, we get it when we get it, right?
Exactly. And to give a little background information on that, like, it was a lot, like, probably even, there was a time period when right after I quit my job in Boston, and I was like, around that time, I think, it was like my whole freaking body hurt, all of it, everything. And my mom knew about that, and then it was something like a year later after I'd really started diving into access classes, and especially after I started taking all the body classes, the 3-day body class. Well, I took a 3-day body class, was like, oh my God. Actually, let me back up, because I was in New Zealand, and when I told you I was traveling abroad, and there was a 7-day class going on in New Zealand, and I like went to the venue and I saw it. And that was it. I just saw the venue. I didn't go inside. I didn't see the class or anything. And I was like, I have to go to one of those. That was just it. I was just like, I have to go. I was like, and I actually, at this point in time, the reason it took me, one of the reasons, if not the main, actually, it was pretty much the reason I didn't want to go to an access class was because I couldn't bear the thought of staying inside for 4 days straight. I was like, oh, the class is 4 days in a room? Gross. It was like my whole life at the time had been created about how much time can I spend outside. Like I was, even my engineering job, it's like my bosses were very good at being like, okay, we need to get him outside doing field work because he goes a little crazy if he's sitting behind in the cubicle. so and it's so funny. These are things I forget to acknowledge about myself. But oh crap, I just forgot where I was going. For those of you out in the world, I have a little bit of ADD, ADHD, and autism and all sorts of things going on. But, right. So I took, after I took that 7-day, everybody at the 7-day class was like putting their hands on each other, not like in weird ways, though you dirty-minded people out there. Except for unless you like it. No. And I was like, well, what the hell is everybody else doing? And they were all running access consciousness body processes. So I was like, oh my God, I want to do more of that. So immediately after the 7-day, my next class was a 3-day body class. And then it was another 3-day body class. And then I went to an advanced body class. And I was like, oh my God, I got to go to another one. So I went to another advanced body class like within just a few weeks after the first one I went to, because I was like, this is amazing. And within that time period, because like within 6 months of all those classes, I was like moving around and doing stuff, and my mom went to ask me, she's like, hey Connor, something about, what are you doing about your back hurting and your body hurting and all that stuff. I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, didn't you say that your whole body hurt? And I was like, oh my God, that's right. My whole freaking body used to hurt. I couldn't even remember that it hurt. It just changed. And it wasn't even like I woke up in the morning and I was like, yay, you hurt yesterday and it doesn't hurt today. It literally just all, it was just one day when she asked me that, I realized, holy crap, my back doesn't hurt anymore and my whole body doesn't hurt anymore. Now, a part of that too, now that, like I was saying, I discovered there were a lot of things that I avoided doing in order to achieve that. But one thing I knew was there's a lot of things I could never stop doing that were creating sort of the back pain. So that was, like, I got rid of the back pain, and sometimes my back still hurts occasionally, but I'm really quick at getting rid of that. Not even getting rid of it, like looking at, like I said, it's always a point of view, and I can always go, okay, what is this? And one of the big questions we ask is like, it's really actually what I do now is acknowledge, okay, is this a power and a potency I'm not acknowledging? And go, okay, it's a power and potency, and everything that doesn't allow me to acknowledge this power and potency, destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, walk, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Now, that's not, for those of you that have never heard about Access, we typically like to do question first, but it's like, I've been doing the back thing for a while now. And so that's what's working these days. That might stop working tomorrow, and then I'll have to go back to question. But it all did really start with the biggest question being, who does this belong to? So you ask, who does this belong to? Is this mine or somebody else's? And I actually still ask that about my back. That's literally the very first question I ask about my back. I just go, who does this belong to? Mine or somebody else's? And if it feels lighter on mine, then I'm like, okay, POC and POD, ever I bought this, or everything that I've really like not just bought this as my point of view, but everything that allows that to exist. And so for those of you out there that want to know more about what POC and POD means, I highly suggest going to access theclearingstatement.com. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so going into question, asking who does this belong to, and then you said heavy or light. So if it's heavy, meaning your body contracts, or just a heaviness?
Thank you for that. It's like, I used to do the light and heavy in my head, so I never knew what the fuck was going on. So thank you for bringing up the body thing. Really, yeah, like something expansive or contracting. And actually the easiest way for me to even identify it with it is, do I feel like happier or not? And so it's just like, it's you know, and for those of you out there that have not actually ever even done this before, it might take a lot of tries. It might, like, and I'm not even perfect. A lot of times I'm like, I don't know, I can't tell if it's mine or if it's not. Shit. So it's not even something like I'm perfect at it. Like I always know whether it's mine or not. And I'm pretty much always POC and POD everywhere I bought something was mine. And everything that allows it to exist. And then also looking at, okay, if it's somebody else's, return it to sender with consciousness attached, which really just means it's just kind of a nice way of saying, I'm not going to try and pull this out of somebody else's body. So again, for those of you out there listening that are like, what does that mean? It's like,
we're actually we will actually do that one, but we're going to take a short break.
Yeah, we got to do a short break. That's a long explanation.
You're right. Yeah. So if you have any questions for Connor, please feel free to call in 202-570-7057, and we'll be right back.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others, and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with Connor Hill, and we are actually Hey, and yeah, what a great segue. Thank you for that introduction into like what happened with your body. That's great.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about would you treat your pet like you treat your body?
Yeah.
Why don't you say a little bit more about you touched on who does this belong to, asking that question, and then you said pulling stuff out of people's bodies, and I was like, well, time out. Let's do that on the other side.
Yeah. Well,
Would you
and
say more about that?
Yeah, it's like, God, it's been such a long conversation, interestingly enough, and I'm almost kind of like I could talk about that for a whole day, and it still might not make sense because what you really actually got was let me actually back up, is I was asking who does this belong to for 3 years before I discovered I had a thought, feeling, or emotion that was not mine. So it started for me with that. Now, a lot of people, I don't think it takes that long. I'm apparently slow. And so, and then it was like, God, it was maybe another year or two after that I discovered that feelings in my body could also be someone else's. So I started by asking, and this is really, like, I could sit here and explain to somebody, well, a lot of the things that show up in your body are not yours, but you're going to be like, yeah, whatever, dude, you don't need, that's crazy, that's voodoo, whatever. But if you're interested in having a different reality, just it just started because it was easy. I was like, who does this belong to? I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. This doesn't make any sense. What am I doing this for? And people would be like, your thoughts, feelings, and emotions don't belong to you. And I'm like, what? Okay, fine. Who does this belong to? Who does this belong to? And so just asking who does this belong to for every thought, feeling, and emotion got me had some point in time I had a thought show up that wasn't mine. So another one that's actually good to say is it was like I was driving down the road and I, for whatever reason, just had pop in my head like, oh, I need a woman. And I was like, wait, who does that belong to? Is that mine or somebody else's? And it just felt really light. It like felt slightly contracted that it was mine, and then it felt really light that it was somebody else's. And I was like, holy crap, somebody else's. That's not my point of view. That's not actually my reality. I don't need a woman to and it was not just I need a woman, but I need a woman to take care of me. So I was always looking for nurses because I was good at getting hurt. I was like, where's a nurse? I need someone to take care of me. And then I just realized, oh my God, that was my dad's point of view. And then I also even realized later, that is like 99.9% of men's points of views and even women's points of views, that they need a man. Like so many people have this point of view that they need someone in a relationship to take care of them or whatever it might be. And so that evolved from there. And so for those of you out there that are going, no, you really do need a man or a woman. The point of this isn't to say you don't have a relationship. It's just to acknowledge, are you functioning from choice? Now, if the point of view that I have is like, I need a woman, am I actually choosing to have a woman? Or am I just doing it because I think I need it, and I'm looking for the closest thing or the first girl that looked at me, which was normally the case. Like, if she looked at me, I was like, oh my God, her.
She's the one.
She's the one. She'll take care of me, I swear. And then she's like, oh my God, I'm not taking care of this freak. So that's really where I started, was asking who does this belong to for ever with thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And like I said, I still do. And then really adding that to my body, at some point in time, I discovered I literally looked at someone walking across the street, and then my whole leg started to hurt. And the person was limping, and I was like, holy crap. I can just look at someone and get the entire sensation of what's going on in their body in mine. So these are just things that I discovered through asking questions that were abilities that I had that I was kind of using against myself, because if I'm walking around feeling like I'm in pain and I think it's mine, I'm like, no, So a lot of my back problems were also that, like other people having back problems and me looking at them and feeling my back hurt because their back hurt. And my body was like, hey, that person's back hurts. I'm like, okay, thank you for telling me. That was great. You want to tone it down a notch? Can somebody give me a manual? And so the book Embodiment actually talks a lot about this stuff, but I didn't, honestly, when I first read that book, I didn't even know what I was reading. I was like, what just happened? But I just read the whole thing anyway. And by the way, the audio book for that is coming out very soon, if it's not already out, like today. And I did the audio book for it in English.
Oh, awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so that's really where I started. That's where I discovered that stuff. And I'm saying that mostly for anybody out there listening that's like, I think you're full of crap, which if you do think I'm full of crap, you owe Venus $5, you owe me $5, and you owe Gary and Dane $100.
You owe us money.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, just really, we just encourage people to try it. Hey,
Yes.
see what you discover for yourself. And who does this belong to? I'll just throw this in there because this is a great one. Dr. Dean here did. Well, I don't know if he did, but there's an app that's called Who Does This Belong To, and it's free. And you can literally get notifications on your phone that remind you to ask that question, because you might just be like going about your day and not even thinking about asking that question, and then something will go on, and then you'll get a notification and be like, oh, right, who does this belong to? So, and thank you for the encouragement. I know that it took you 3 years, but that also encourages people to, don't give up. Just keep doing it. You'll eventually gain some awareness around it.
Yeah, I don't think it'll take anybody else 3 years. Like I said, I was an engineer, so I was a little locked up in my own head and my own world. So if you're an engineer out there, it might take you just as long. But I was a little kind of like, I've watched a lot of people discover it way faster than I did. Because they're like, I'm so sad. And I'm like, who does that belong to? And they're like, it's mine. I'm like, okay, is there anybody that's sad in your life? Yeah, my mother's sad. I'm like, okay, so is it really your sadness or your mother's sadness? And they go, oh my God, it's my mom's. I'm not actually sad about anything. She's sad about everything. And I'm totally aware of all of her sadness. And then I go, there you go. It's fine.
So, Connor, maybe you could tell us a little bit about, what is the body trying to communicate to us when we have that awareness?
Everything. Everything. I mean, first part is, that's why we named this call what it is. What was it called again? Would you treat your pet like you treat your body? Yeah, because one of the first body classes I went to, I loved it. The founder of Access Consciousness went, all right, he goes, if you treated your dog like you treat your body, it would run away from you. Imagine, for all of you out there, think, if you looked in the mirror, when you look in the mirror, do you sit there and you go, oh my God, you're so cute, I love you? Or do you go, oh, you're ugly and you look homeless and you're this, that, and the other terrible thing and stuff? And then you put a mask on that burns the top layer of skin off, and then you poke needles in yourself and you hit yourself or whatever it is. And so for me, it was like I said, I got hurt a lot. So it's good at treating my body terribly by playing American football and getting beat up that way, or falling hard and snowboarding. And then the other one was, if you treated your cat like you treat your body, it would claw your freaking face off. Mm. So I laughed really hard when I first heard that, and I really like it, because the truth of the matter is, look, for those of you that at least have pets, what have you treated you and your body like you treat your pet? Now, if you're looking at how you treat your pet and you're like, oh no, I abused the crap out of my pet, maybe you want to treat your pet a little bit better.
You're right. But for the most part, people love their pets more than they love their bodies.
Yeah. And maybe
Yes.
some people are sitting here going, oh, that's why Fluffy ran away.
Yep, there is that too. So why do you think that is? Why do you think people treat their pets better than they treat their bodies?
Well, one of the things that we actually sort of acknowledge and access is that a lot of us that judge ourselves are judging ourselves so that we can figure out how to do judgment correctly.
Oh, wow.
Like, okay, other people are judging me, so they must know something better than I know. I'm not judging other people, so I'll judge myself as wrong and them as right, and now let me do this judgment thing that they're doing about me. I'll do it on myself so I can figure out the value of judging me. But you never actually figure out the value because there is no value because it's just stupid. But the thing is like for those of us too, it's like we'll pick people when we have a judgment of ourselves. We'll pick people to be in our lives that align and agree with that judgment. Like even the bad ones. Like if you are someone in your life that you're like, I can't find anybody that's kind. Okay, let's actually back up. For me, there was a time period where it was like I had the point of view that women were mean. Well, the only women that were showing up in my life were mean to me because I was mean to me, and I also had the point of view that women were mean, so I only chose people that would fit that reality. The people that did not fit that reality did not, I didn't give them a second, and they didn't give me a second because I wasn't willing to actually receive them.
Can you say a little bit more about point of view? Just so people are like, what's that? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what we like to actually say with point of view, the best way, if you're somebody that speaks English or can speak English, you can read one of the hardest books, if not the hardest book I've ever written. You can read this book. It's called The Alexandria Quartet by Lawrence Durrell. And at the time of its writing, it was acclaimed as one of the greatest English literature creations. Let's just call it that. And it's 4 books written from several different narratives, like 4 different people. And it's pretty much of all of the same accounts going on in a city. So you actually see how different everybody's point of view is. And it's like that's really is the thing we like to tell people to read if you really want to get what point of view is. Because most of us walk around thinking that everybody else has the same point of view we do. And I still do that. And I read that book, and it's the 4 books really, and discovered just how different our points of views can be. And it's because it's not even just a single point of view. It's like someone else's entire reality. Even people in your family, people that, like if you have a partner, you might be thinking that their reality is just like yours, and they're thinking that their reality is just like yours. And the next thing you know, you find out that they're doing all this other stuff. Yeah, well, it's because their reality is totally different, and none of us are really acknowledging that. So many of us have drastically different realities. A lot of people like to say, be open-minded and travel, and you'll find something out. And it's true. That's like you start to sort of chisel away at the surface, but really deep down, none of us really have the same reality. It's like our fingerprints. They're all vastly different. And when we try to make all of our realities the same, or all of our points of views the same, it makes things a little difficult sometimes. So if that doesn't help, let me do maybe a simpler route. Like, look at this is one I really like, is destroying people's points of views about love. Sorry, people out there. I like to stir the pot. But look at how many different definitions of love there are. So when someone says to you, I love you, what do they really mean? And if you ask
I
a
would
person,
die for you.
well, yeah, that's what that means. Like, okay. You're like, so jump in front of this bullet right now. They're like, oh, well, not right now. Maybe another time.
Maybe another time. If you make it through this one, I might jump in front of the next one.
Yeah. Yes. Next time. Don't you have somebody else that'll do it first?
Well, give us some references a little bit, towards, your point of view creates your reality with your body. Because you've said that a couple times, that was my point of view, and then it created that. So.
Yes. So, with your body, well, like I said, man, well, I just realized this right now. I growing up had the point of view that I was white, so I was going to be slower than black kids. So I've realized I just realized that right now that I started creating that in my body, because I've been just running short distances the last week and a half, and the way I run has drastically changed. And I'm like, holy crap, if I had ran this way when I was younger, I wonder how much faster I would have been. And I even remember running when I was young and being like, why can't I go any faster? My legs feel like they should be able to go faster. Now, I'm not saying it would have actually worked, but realizing that point of view in and of itself. Now, I don't mean to make this, I realize I'm in the United States now, and I don't really mean to make this a white and black thing. It's like I've spent the last year and a half in other countries where there are no, there's too many colors, there's too many shades. So I'm like, wait, what are the races in this country? I don't even know what's going on. But that's what I grew up with, and at least, and I say that just because it wasn't until after when I got older that I saw white guys playing in professional football, and I was like, wow, he's not actually any bigger than me, or he's only slightly faster than me, maybe, if at all. And he's, I just realizing I could have done it. For anybody out there that watches football, Drew Brees is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play, and he's not crazy tall, he's not crazy fast, but he's still good.
Awesome. Well, we're going to talk more about this. We're going to take another short break here. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to call in 202-570-7057, and we'll be right back.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
I'm Kathy Williams, host of Sexy Mom Abundant Life radio show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On the show, we explore living abundantly in every area of your life. Ways to let go of limiting patterns and beliefs and to step into the flow of creativity and possibility, knowing you are supported by the universe.
Is it time to create a different and greater world? Through research, we can explore paths to new and exciting possibilities. The Hope Foundation for Possibilities and Change is a research-based, not-for-profit organization dedicated to exploring, discovering, and creating a different future for all. Your donations make this happen. You can contribute at foundationforpossibilities.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm here with Connor James Hill, and we're talking about bodies. We'll just say simplify.
Bodies.
Bodies. I loved what you said about, your point of view. And so let's say somebody's going, okay, I now see that I have this point of view that seems to be creating my reality, like I'm too slow because I'm white or whatever, right?
Right.
How do they change it? What do they do?
Start asking a question. And really just acknowledging like that was an example really of just trying to delineate what points of views can create, because you look at how many points of views people have, and a lot of people think that their point of view creates your reality, which you're right if that's your point of view. But what if your point of view is that your reality creates your point of view, or that your point of view creates your reality? Wait, did I say that backwards? I think I did. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think that reality creates their point of view. They're like, this is the reality, so I have the point of view that reality is correct. And I'm like, yeah, so your point of view is that reality is the way it is, and that's what creates your point of view. I have the point of view that my point of view creates my reality, and I have exercised that time and time and time and time again, and really looking, and mostly just looking at, not going, oh, I'm going to have the point of view that I can just, take my shirt off and wave my arms in the air and money will fall on my face. No, it's more like looking at the acknowledgement of your point of view creates your reality, is more looking at what points of views do I have that are creating my life as it is. Like this is where you go, you look at what you think about every day, what thoughts you have, the words that come out of your mouth, that will get created as your life. Like, so talking about our bodies, if you're looking in the mirror going, oh, I look terrible, oh, I look terrible. Mind you, moving away from the race discussion and more into the gender discussion, it's like, I'm a quote unquote, I could consider myself a straight man, but especially in the United States, a lot of men growing up, it's like it was wrong to be gay. Different now and in a lot of cities, but also still wrong to be gay in a lot of places. And so a lot of men grow up not like thinking they can, sort of acknowledge beauty, physical beauty especially, in another man. So when they look in the mirror, are they looking at themselves going, God, I look great? Or are they going, oh, I'm not attractive in any way? Like for me, I'm like, for the longest time, I was like, what makes an attractive guy? I don't even get it. And so that's another area we're just looking at. And you can do this thing of pocking and podding, pock and pod, all these judgments that I have about how I look. Same thing with age. I'm old. I have wrinkles. How many points of views do you have about what your face looks like at 40, or that you have points of views that you are aging? Because how many people have you seen out in the world that are 45 and they look like they're 23? And you're like, what? How did that happen? But if you talk to those people, a lot of times they don't even have the point of view that they will look old. They're just like, yeah, why would I look old? I like looking young. This is great. So I'm hoping that assists people out in the world
Well, yeah, and it's just an invitation to go, okay, so, you don't have to look at yourself like something's wrong all the time. You can actually change that point of view.
Yeah.
What a great invitation. And what would you be willing to just even talk about, like, what would the value of that be? What would, treating our bodies better, treating our bodies like we would treat our pets? Hopefully, if you're treating your pets well, anyway,
That's great. Yeah. Thank you for the question. I mean, for me, the value of it is I feel better. It's like I see a lot of people going, well, you need to put this in your body and you need to put that in your body and that's why you're sick, because of what you're eating and what you're not eating, and you need this kind of nutrients and so on and so forth. And I followed that regimen for a long time, but I didn't like it. I like Oreos and Chips Ahoy and shit. And really, it's like this biggest part is like, too, is do you listen to your pets? Like, I'm living in a friend's house right now because I can't travel. I can't be in Australia. Grr. And you're like, your point of view creates your reality. Yeah, well, I've been pretty good at actually, jumping the borders in certain places. So don't tell anybody. I'm just putting it out there. I just have to fly under everybody else has points of views too. And there's this new reality of navigating their points of views, kind of. We've got a couple cats, and one of them is just really good at getting my attention when it wants food. So I listen to it, and I give it food. Do we listen to our bodies is the real question. Most people tell you, and most people function from, I need this much sleep, or you're supposed to get that much sleep. And for me, I was an insomniac growing up. So what did I do? I judged myself like crazy because I wasn't getting enough sleep, or I wasn't falling asleep on time, or I wasn't waking up at the right time, or, oh my God, no, I'm going to be tired all day tomorrow because I didn't fall asleep until 5 a.m. and then I had to wake up at 7 a.m. in order to get to school on time. And I would literally just stare at the ceiling, like thinking about trying to fall asleep and being like, oh God, this is going to be terrible. I'm going to be tired all day tomorrow. Nowadays, if I can't fall asleep, I work. And if I don't fall asleep until 3 in the morning, 5 in the morning, then I just work, and then I'll sleep for an hour, and then I feel fine the next day. But people run around going, you need 8 hours. What? Since when? Like, there's 8 billion people on the planet. For those of you out there in the world that don't know what 8 billion means, that means, well, let's put a billion into perspective. In order to become a billionaire, you have to make $1 million 1,000 times over. So if you're making $1 million a year, you would have to, live to be 1,000 years old in order to actually become a billionaire. So we're working with extremely large numbers here, and I was also really good at statistics and probability, and the outlying events are quite phenomenal. So to think in any way, shape, or form that we would all require the same sleeping patterns, or that we would all require 8 hours of sleep, is just insane from my point of view, personally. And now notice I did have a point of view. Having a point of view isn't a bad or wrong thing. So it's like, for me, the insomnia changed when I stopped judging myself for how much I sleep. And now, these days, I sleep 5 hours normally, give or take. So, and if I sleep more than 7 hours, I'm like, what the hell happened? Where did the day go? And so it's looking at, like, you're not wrong. Now, I'm going to keep going. Apparently, I've just got lots of things I want to say, because people can sit there and go, oh, our bodies don't know what they want. So, because I want to go back a little bit to the nutrition thing. Like, I saw a picture recently of a pufferfish sitting on a beach. All the other fish that had washed up on the beach got eaten by stray dogs and birds. But the pufferfish was untouched. Why? because it has poison. How did the dogs and the birds know? They just know. And some people go, oh, well, they can smell it. Well, why can't we smell it? For me, it's just, I've noticed these things in nature, and I've pretty much just gone, I'm not going to function that way. So for me, nowadays, I wake up and I just ask my body, what do you want? And if it says, I want a beer, I'm like, yes. And when it goes, I don't want any alcohol today, I'm like, damn. Come on, please. I'm like, I want wine. And my body's like, yeah, let's get some wine, because I know you're not going to listen to me. And then I'm like, what's the best wine going to be? And then my body's like, I want that wine. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be great. We're going to drink some wine. And then I open it, and it's the worst tasting wine I've ever had. And I'm like, what the hell happened, body? I thought you told me that was going to be the best wine. It was like, you didn't ask me if I actually wanted any wine. So fuck you. And so I do the same with like running and doing sports and working out and things. And there was one time I was like, hey body, you want to work out? And it's literally just like you asked earlier about this light and heavy thing in your body. I get a sensation of lightness and heaviness, and I get better with this all the time. And I just ask, like, you want to go for a run? And it's like, nope. And I'm like, come on, I really want to go for a run. It'll be great. It's like, no, I don't want to go for a run. And I'm like, okay, is there anything we could do such that you would want to go for a run? And I got the energy of like, or picture, or however it shows up for me. Let's stretch. Yeah, we can go on a run if we stretch. Well, I started stretching and I fell asleep. And I fell asleep for an hour. I was like, and then when I woke up, I was like, I don't really feel like running anymore. I was like, that's weird. And I felt amazing though. So, you know, my personal body, it's a weird one. I have curly hair. My hair doesn't listen to me. My body doesn't listen to me. So I have to do a very good job of listening to it. So it's fun.
That sounds like it.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love for people to know, how do they find you?
The best way to find me actually is to go to accessconsciousness.com / or /, I don't know, whichever the normal one is, Connor Hill. Or you can also go to connorjhill.com. I'm on Facebook. Connor James Hill is the best way to find me. You can just Google Connor James Hill and I'll come up. If you Google Connor Hill, there's like a million of us. So I use my middle name. There's like tons of them in Ireland and tons of them in the United Kingdom and tons of them in the United States, and they're all white boys. So it's funny.
Awesome. And then do you have anything coming up? I think you said you had. Well, I love the fact that The Joy of Embodiment is on audiobook now, so
Yes.
you guys can go get that
So I
in
would actually
Connor's
say
voice. So if it was really sexy today, you could just be like, oh, I want to listen to that guy read to me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you. And so it's actually really fun because I recorded that audiobook just before the Global Foundation while I was in Sao Paulo. And because of the energy of that book, I couldn't sit down while I was doing it. I'd like stand up, get barefooted, and I was like on my tippy toes the whole time. I was like, oh my God, there's so much energy. So it was really fun. So I would love to hear comments or anything coming back from that. And yeah, right now, for those of you that are brand new, that's probably the best way to find me, because I think I was telling Venus earlier that with the coronavirus, all of my classes and projects have totally changed. So I only have a few things in the work. I have like a couple book clubs going on, Right Riches for You, and an online foundation class that I am doing next weekend. For those of you out there that if you've taken a Access Bars class, you can go on to take a foundation. So I have a foundation going on in just over a week. And but if you're brand new, this is the first time you've ever heard anything, I highly suggest checking out that embodiment book. It's the place I started, so I'm a big fan. Oh, in the foundation class, I don't know, did we say it on air that we took, it was my second foundation I ever took, and it was your first.
It was my first,
yeah. So is there anything you want to say about that foundation that you recall?
Well, I think just the the general that we hear a lot of in Access is that foundation class changed my life. It changed, let's say it even changed the trajectory of my life. My life was going in one direction, and I ended up going on and becoming a certified facilitator. So did Connor. We love these tools.
And so did
created
Sylvia.
So much. Yeah.
I mean, like, for me, now that I'm a facilitator, the coolest thing is to see someone go off and not necessarily have to become a certified facilitator, but to see someone go off and, like, really create their life. Like, Sylvia's getting after it. You're getting after it. There was one other person in that class, I think, wasn't there?
Tina Alkowicz.
Tina.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I haven't seen her in a bit, but God, so cool.
Yeah, and so just these tools, they've just been such a gift, I think to us in many different ways. And you can use them for your bodies, you can use them for your life. So thank you so much, Connor. This was such a pleasure to have you, and such a joy to talk about bodies.
Yeah, so good to speak with you again.
Yeah, right. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.